Hi guys, welcome back to another video, or your first video here, I don't know. Welcome if you're new here, welcome either way. This is going to be looking at my last unhaul of 2024. I believe it was for the last half of the, my last haul for 2024. I'm going to film my unhaul next. I feel like this is a lot of books, but also a lot of them I have read, so I'm just going to get into them. I'm going to put this on the ground so I'm not dropping things. So as I was stacking things, everything went out of order, so I'm sure that I will come back to this. But I went to Comic-Con in the latter half of the year. I dressed up as the bearded lady from The Greatest Showman. I shall put up a picture here. I was very, very proud with the costume I made, and that was just fabulous. But I did buy some comics while I was there. The first two are from the same publisher, and that is Inklaw. So I got book 2 in Under the Oak Tree, the graphic novel, and book 1 in Lore Olympus, which I've been meaning to get into. I was thinking of trying out the webtoon first before I actually tried or bought the comics, but they were having a deal on that you got money off if you bought more than one hardcover on that stall. In this one, we are following Maxim, who is a woman, or Maxie, because in England, Maxim is a man's name, but we are following Maxie as she has been mentally and physically abused all her life and is constantly told how worthless and ugly she is until she believes it, and she escapes with a sort of political marriage with our other main character, Riften, and she really struggles communicating. She has a pronounced stutter, and it's about her healing journey while also learning about magic and overcoming ingrained prejudice. I have read this, by the way, that's why I know so much. This one, all I know is that it is a graphic novel retelling of the Persephone and Hades story from Greek mythology, so I am very interested to see where this goes. I'm thinking of starting it when I know that all the books are out. I think that's possibly soon, or has already happened. Please let me know if you know. I know that I said that I wasn't going to be getting any more LGBT young adult contemporary books that I just wanted to look into just because they were labelled as gay, but apparently I can't help myself. I got Unspeakable by Abby Rushton, and this is about a young girl who is selectively mute, and she forms a new relationship and deals with the fact that she is discovering she may be attracted to women. So I may do another video about looking at the young adult on my shelves and doing a try chapter tag, seeing what I am going to finish and keep on my shelves and what probably isn't going to stay. So that will be part of that if I do that. Next we have a play script, and that is Ghost Stories by Jeremy Dyson and Andy Nyman. I don't know if anyone knows how to pronounce this. So I bought this because I went to see Ghost Stories in the West End. The title pretty much explains it. It's a series of ghost stories that have an interconnecting thread about a professor looking into stories that he hasn't been able to explain. I'd be interested in reading the staging of it in here, because I found the staging really interesting when they did it on the stage. That was really badly worded, but anyway, that'll be a quick read. Next we have another graphic novel, and that is Firebird by Sunmi, and this one I actually picked up because someone left it at work with a little sticker on it saying free to a good home. So I'm excited to pick this up. I have no idea what it's about other than the fact that I found out that it was queer. It has quite a, like, an old school Japanese style. I don't know if the author is Japanese or Korean, possibly. I would need to look that up before I tell you my thoughts on it, but I'm excited to get to this. Next we have another play, or a collection of plays, called No Exit by Jean-Paul Sartre, And in here we have No Exit, The Flies, Dirty Hands, and The Respectful Prostitute. So I know nothing about this, but I saw it in the play section and I thought, I'll give this a go. Next we have a favourite that I finally picked up my own copy of, and that is Swordheart by T. Kingfisher. I am a huge fan of the new cover art of this. I think this is beautiful. I think that the old cover art, the like grey one with the sword, I'll put it here. I honestly think it's quite boring, and I also think that the line on it, maybe I'll blur it out if I editing me remember to blur this out, but there's a line of text on the original cover that I think spoils quite a big plot point in the story. So I just think that it was a weird choice. Maybe it was created by someone who hadn't yet read the book before they decided to make the cover, but I much prefer this. I just think it's gorgeous. It really feels like, for some reason, this is giving me Art Deco vibes. I don't know why. I don't really think that that's what this was classed as, but it's almost like Art Deco with a modern twist. Or maybe I'm speaking rubbish, I don't know, but I like it. Next we have a book that I have read multiple times, and I finally got my own copy, and it may, bear with me, it's called Immune, which is a almost textbook about the immune system. I should have seen that coming. So yes, before you click off the video because you're like, oh my god, this person reads books about the immune system for fun. This is so fun. It is such a good book. It has wonderful, beautiful illustrations in it about the cells of the immune system, and just it's one of those books that I think explains science in a really, really good way. It's by the same people who run Kurzgesagt, the In a Nutshell YouTube channel, and it's explained in such a fun way without dumbing down the science, while acknowledging the parts of the science that are, one, simplified for ease. It explains where those simplifications happen, but also explains where science is a forever moving field, and a lot of books tend to talk with a certain amount of certainty about what we know as a scientific community, and I think that just isn't reflective. Whereas in here, it really acknowledges the excitement of the fact that we often don't know, or it discusses, for example, what is a couple of theories and what he thinks, what is the most common theory, and I really appreciate that about this book. I don't know if I'm selling it particularly well. This is really fun. Next we have a really beautiful edition of Arabian Nights, which is part of the Barnes & Noble leather-bound collection. It has just gorgeous, gorgeous artwork all over it. It's the gold foil, the satin ribbon. It's still in its plastic, but I don't particularly care about keeping them in the plastic. I just haven't opened this up yet. I'm really interested to read this because I'm aware of a number of the stories. For example, Shahrazad, who sort of threads all the stories together because she is married off and is trying to avoid execution by telling stories and delaying her execution. So I think it'd be very interesting to read this. This is also where we get Aladdin, if you didn't know that. This one was a purely title buy, honestly. I just saw it and I thought the title and the cover were ridiculous. So we have two similar looking men with umbilical hernias. I honestly have no idea what this is. I just saw it and I thought this is strange and I decided to buy it. I got it when we were in holiday. When me, my parents and my sister went on holiday to Mumbles in South Wales, and I just thought, why not? This next one is definitely going to cement me as a nerd if, you know, Immune didn't already, and that is Dear Data. So this is a book collating, how to describe this? So two people, Georgia and Stephanie, decided to run an experiment for a full year where they would become pen pals, but use their weekly postcard to collect and share data about the world around them and challenge themselves to look at their world in a new light and also experiment with visually representing different things, like how often they said sorry in a week or what forms of transport they took in a different week. So this featured all of the postcards with their actual letter to one another, where they would talk about how to interpret the different artwork, and each week would have a theme. So for example, this week was things that caught their attention, interesting things. So this was a lot of fun, and I'm very excited to have this on my shelf. Right, pile number 2. Okay, next 2 are 2 books that don't seem interrelated, but I got both of these in like one of those shelves in a shopping centre which has take a book, leave a book kind of thing. So I took these 2. This first one is Adventure Time Jake's Jokes, which was clearly one of those Happy Meal toy things. So Adventure Time is an adult animated series, but very much in the style of kids' cartoons. And Jake is the yellow dog in this, and it's just a joke book. You might see this in my unhaul. And this one is the Brotherton Poetry Prize Anthology number 3. This is a collection of this Poetry Prize's winners and finalists. So because it's an anthology of poetry, it's not really to a specific theme, but it was really an interesting dive into poets that I wouldn't have otherwise heard of. Next we have Antonia's Pumpkin, which is a book I picked up at a craft fair that the author themselves were selling it. So it is a children's book all about Halloween. It's got illustrations by the author and a little story. And I like to support local authors, so I picked this up. Next we have All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson. Sorry, it took me a while to find that because this looks like it's the author of this quote. So I was like, oh, where's the author? No, that is the author. So this is a queer memoir. I don't know anything about this other than that, and I will hopefully get to it very soon. Next we have The Honey Witch by Sydney J. Shields. This is a fantasy book, I'm assuming cozy fantasy, and I bought this because it was queer. That is going to be a theme with a lot of things I buy. Next we have another pile of things that I bought from Comic-Con. So these are from a number of authors on Artists Alley. My favourite place in Comic-Con is the small independent artists who are just selling their own things. So first of all, we have Grimm Volume 2 by Sarah Jones. I picked up the first volume in this series. It's got to be about 10 years ago, the last time I went to a Comic-Con, and it was just lovely to see the continuation of this artist's work. I really love the watercolory vibes. I really love the darkness in here. Did she sign it for me? Yep, signed it for me. So this was a wonderful find. And then I have 2 short art collections by Devon Short. This first one being called Dead Nipples. This was a art collection talking about their experience of top surgery and the trans experience. I don't know how much of this I can show on YouTube without there being a problem, but very, very, very beautiful. The second being Living Scars, and the tagline just says, a collection of post-top surgery thoughts, illustrations and comics, which I think is a perfect description of it. I think it was lovely getting to see this author's thoughts and feelings about the trans experience. And I think the last one that I picked up from Comic-Con, possibly, like I said, these books have gone so out of order, is Lavender Cloud by Bex Ollerton. The tagline here is a dazzling and detailed depiction of neurodivergence. When I tell you I've never felt so called out by a book, I've never felt so called out by a book before. This was fabulous. The art style is really sweet, but I think it's a really candid look at neurodivergence in a world that is not built for us. So I thought this was wonderful. The art style, like I said, is very, very sweet. It's relatively simplistic, but I think it just perfectly gets the point across. So highly recommend this. I'm very much outing myself as a nerd here. I got Alex Through the Looking Glass by Alex Belos. So I read Alex's Adventures in Numberland, which is a collection of essays, I would say, from a mathematician about maths in the world. I picked up that last one because I remember during school they would try and take us to all these like fancy lectures to try and get us into good universities because it was a pretty all-girls private school. And I remembered this person's lecture years later. There are still things I can viscerally remember about that lecture. It was so interesting. And so I picked up his previous book, and I didn't know he had a sequel. So this was also at that drop a book off on a shelf and pick a book up if you want. So yeah, I thought great opportunity to get this copy. If you think maths is boring, which is probably a lot of people, try this. Try a chapter, see how you feel. I'm going to have convinced no one of that. Oh, I do have one more from Comic-Con, technically. So I have Crankrat Volume 10. This is a series that I've been collecting since I first started going to Comic-Cons, and I saw the author there. This was from the summer Comic-Con, and I knew that some of my friends were going, and I knew that this author would be there, so I said, if you don't mind, could you look out for her, and if there is volume 10 or above, can you please pick it up? And it was very sweet, them telling me about the experience of meeting this author, because I think a lot of the time when people go around Artist Alley, it's new customers to them because they are small independent authors. They publish their own stuff, often through very small print runs, and it's not very often that they get a repeat customer, and it's even less often that someone come back all the way for volume 10. So she was very, very sweet and very, very grateful, and it was lovely that my friend picked this up for me. So very excited to continue in this. I'm running out of room. All the next books are charity shop finds that I picked up because I knew they were gay. And I know very little else about them. So we have Friends of Dorothy by Sandy Toksvig? If you know any more about how to pronounce this author's name, I would love some advice. This one I thought was non-fiction, but I believe it's actually a fiction book. And Friends of Dorothy was a phrase that gay people used to use to each other to signal that they were also queer or a safe person to talk about queer things to, in a time when being gay could openly get you in prison, especially in the UK and the US. And Dorothy being related to the Wizard of Oz. And I could go into a whole nother video of how Dorothy and Judy Garland has become sort of a gay icon, and the movie The Wizard of Oz means a lot to the gay community, but I'm not going to because this video would be way too long. But I'm excited to read this. Next, we have 3 books that I literally don't know anything about. We have Detransition Baby by Tori Peters. I know that this is not a book advertising detransition. I know that this is more talking about the trans experience, but I have no idea other than that what this is about. Next, we have The Dance Tree by Kieran Millwood Hargrave. I picked this up because I also read The Mercies by this author and enjoyed it. So I'm interested to see what this is like. And finally, for that category, we have Free Love by Tessa Hadley. I know nothing about other than the fact that it's queer, so I will get to this when I get to it. And next we have Tarzan of the Apes, which is a collection of the first 3 novels in the series, which is another one of the Barnes & Noble classic leather-bound books, which I got for Christmas from my sister. So I'm excited to have this on my shelf. And finally in my haul we have 2 more books that I have read, and they are both part of the same series, and that is Mislaid in Parts Half Known and Adrift in Currents Clean and Clear by Shauna Maguire. So this continues the Every Heart a Doorway series, and I just love this series so much. It's a series of companion novellas centering around the concept that children find their way into magical worlds, like in the case of, say, Narnia, Alice in Wonderland, etc. And for whatever reason, they wind up back in this world and they no longer belong here. They found somewhere where they truly belong. And they go to a home which is called Eleanor West's home. And in the eyes of the parents that are sending their children here, they are being sent there to deal with their delusions of and mental illness. But what the home actually is giving these kids a place to stay while they wait or they work towards getting back to the place where they truly belong. Every other book in the series, starting with this one, is set at Eleanor West's home, and every other book in the series, starting with book 2, is set in one of these magical worlds, either with characters that we've met before or new characters that we might meet again. Every book in the series I give 5 stars, by the way. I just love them so much. What Shauna Maguire manages to do with so few pages is honestly fabulous. In terms of my favourites in the series, I think this one would maybe rank relatively low, but again, giving it 5 stars. But I think that's because it's not what I was led to believe going in. So from the cover and from the marketing, this was going to be the dinosaur book. We were going to see the dinosaur world from one of the characters we met in Where the Drowned Girls Go. And it didn't end up being about that. This was more about Anthy, sorry. This was more about Anthy and her story. We got to see the beginning of her story in... Sorry, these titles are so long that I need to remind myself. Lost in the Moment and Found, which was one of my favourites, if not my favourite in the series. It was really, really beautiful. And I was not expecting this to be a continuation of her story, but it was a really interesting book, and I think that would probably rank higher in my ranking of the series if I did a reread of it, because I'm then not having those expectations from the marketing in my head. Whereas this one, we are following, what's her name? Nadia? So Nadia was put up for adoption and adopted by an American couple who wanted to seem like they were doing good things rather than actually do good things. And it's about the underwater world that she escapes to. And I think this was a really just beautiful story, and I'm very excited to have these. And there you have it. Those are all the books that I bought in the latter half of 2024. Let me know about... I've been saying 2024. Last year was 2025. Oh my goodness me. I meant 2025. Anyway, let me know what your favourite purchase book-wise was of the year, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.